You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network.
Okay, we have faithfully made it into 2024. We are a week into the new year. And I don't know about you guys, but already I am feeling the effects of the time moving so swiftly. We're already 8 days into the new year. January has less than 30 days remaining, which, of course, we kind of reached that pinnacle from the very first day of the new year, right? But we're a weekend, and I am very, very much focused on the 25 motivational tips that I shared early on in the new year. And we're in our series of the second tip, which is stop making excuses. I think it's very apparent that I'm not going to cut corners on this. I think it kind of is very simple. It's kind of simply no, not simply. It speaks for itself. I think it gives essence to what most of us are dealing with when it comes to our own obstacles, that we're making excuses and we're finding ourselves in these places that are sometimes leaving us feeling unwanted and uncomfortable. And those actual feelings and those nudges are indicators for us to keep going, to move forward, and to not allow ourselves to get in our own way. A lot of times it is us that is blocking us to our greater good. And because of that, we find ourselves swimming in circumstances at times that we just feel like we're not moving or we're not getting anywhere. And a lot of the times it's because we're just cycling our thoughts instead of taking them into action. So, I'm not going to make this a long drawn out. I'm going to get straight to the point with it. And with that being said, you know what time it is. It's Monday, and it's time for Sonny's Monday Motivation. Let's go.
Welcome to Loudmouth Radio Network. My name is Sonny. As a former professional athlete turned entrepreneur realtor and the producer of Loudmouth Radio Network, I look forward to bringing content to you that empowers, inspires, and entertains you. Tune in each week as we have unscripted and unfiltered talks from entrepreneurship, real estate, politics, entertainment, comedy, LGBTQ topics, day-to-day life, and everything in between. All shows available on demand 24/7 on your favorite podcast platforms. Eli's Handyman Service is proudly serving the Inland Empire for all your handyman needs. Whether you're in need of furniture assembly, general construction or repairs, remodeling, drywall installation, new tile flooring work, plumbing fixture installation, interior or exterior painting, TV mounting, and more, contact Eli at 323-286-8435 for all your handyman needs, available 6 days a week. Don't forget to let them know that you heard them on Loudmouth Radio.
This is the best part about this. I am determined today to kind of touch on this. I wanted to either do one or two things, and I decided the latter. Instead of, just sitting in the studio and recording this sector, I decided that while I was on my destination, that I would, definitely put this information to your ears, because it's just important for me today to do it early and to speak on what I know to be so true for so many people. Working through our own level of blockage can prevent us from believing that the things that we're working towards will come. And a lot of times it feels that way because sometimes we're just putting our own mental blocks and formulating excuses as to reasons as to why we can't get to where we need to get to, or be what we want to be, or do what we want to do. And it's easy to talk yourself out of situations. It's easy to create situations. Words have power. I think that everyone knows that, to have a sensibility or level of sensibility. But I think the first thing that a lot of times what we have to do to work through that, to stop making excuses, is that we have to take account of the conversations that we're having around our actions. A lot of times we're doing things that are sometimes just creating distractions and not focusing enough to get to the source of things that we need to hammer out or to get done. And so that leads us on this almost like a hamster wheel feeling at times, where you don't seem to be getting to the next thing. So you just find yourself cycling. Some people physically are walking and pacing, but a lot of times it's something that's happening inwardly in our minds, and it becomes a mental workout that actually exhausts us in the wrong way. It creates burnout, it creates frustration, it creates even negligent thinking. Sometimes it can just distract you to the point where you're not able to clearly define your next thing, your next move, your next objective, because you've become so tied into what it is that you've created the excuse out of. So it's important that even something as simple as our own conversation in the midst, how times people are calling, they may say, hey, how you doing? And sometimes we'll give our knee-jerk reactions. Oh, I'm good. Everything's this, or you know how it is. Or, so you have to be conscious, even in that light, of what you're saying as it conforms to you and to the things that you're working on. And you'll be surprised that if you start paying attention to how you're referencing your actions, your momentum, are you staying goal-centered? You'll be surprised just how much being aware of your conversation can make a change towards your immediate physical actions in the midst of what you're doing. So one of the things that it kind of creates is becoming aware of the negative chatter, because you don't even realize that even your response can be coming from a space that is either posing some type of lack or frustration or a negative undertone. You may even be sarcastic. You may even be sounding condescending in reference to yourself. You'll be surprised how much we negate our own values, our own abilities, our own measurement of accomplishments. And I think for myself, I've had to take note and not just respond how you think other people want to hear you respond, but respond in a way in which makes relevant sense to, your real aspects. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes you have to think beyond what you're physically facing, what you may see in the physical, what you may be indulged within, and really set your sights on the things that you're working towards. So that means that you may sometimes speak in a positive, optimistic, I wouldn't say futuristic, but I'll say more optimistic. If you can even just speak more optimistically in regards to what you're doing or what you're aiming for, even if you haven't accomplished it, but just change the dynamics of how you're speaking, you'll be surprised how much that will alleviate some of the pressure of what you're concerned, because a lot of times what's happening is that you're probably concerned more about what the other person who's listening to you or observing you thinks than you are about your own placement of yourself. And because of that, you don't want to create this facade. I'm not telling you to create a facade, but I am telling you to be conscious of how you speak, the things of your actions and your thoughts, and your overall attitude towards what you're doing, because it can create a hardship for you that you're not even aware of, and you'll wonder why you'll feel as if you're not getting to the next thing, or you're not getting through some of your goals, because you're not even giving yourself the same level of value system that you may be giving to others. Right? And you may not even be aware, but you're creating this internal conflict. So mentally, you may be driving one aspect, your conversation is driving another, your feelings and emotions is either pivoting between the two. And so there's this multitude of things that are happening out of this one space that is supposed to be coming from you, in the sense that it should definitely be towards more positivity of things. But you'll be surprised when you're divided in mind and in spirit, and if your heart's not, if you sometimes your brain is just not clear, it's cloudy. It'll make you feel like you're in this divisional space with yourself, if that makes sense. And it's kind of cliche. People say, your heart is not into it, your mind's not in the same place, But really and truly, those are really good adjectives to explain the commonality of these types of emotions that are centered around the way you've been nurturing your own thoughts. So it's so important to minimize the internal conflict of what you believe and sometimes what is. And a lot of times I think because we haven't seen the full result of what we're going for, we just get discouraged and we get impatient. And then it leads you to this feeling of not believing that what you're going for or what you're aiming to do is happening. And so what happens a lot of times is you'll start making these excuses or justify reasons as to why what you need to do is not going to happen or is not happening. And then you start giving up, even in your thoughts. Because that's where it starts. Your thoughts are caving in to what you're now creating as your own reality. So if we can, sometimes if we can put that much power and strength into negative talking, imagine if we turned it into positive thinking, positive conversation, positive internal cliches, right? And start spinning ourselves away from the excuse making. And I believe that we all have the capabilities to supercharge ourselves, but a lot of it is our mindsets and understanding just that dynamic and how strong that holds towards anything and everything. And I feel the more that we can conquer these disbeliefs and sometimes even our own internal, like I said, division, it helps to minimize the limitations that we're setting for ourselves, because ultimately that's part of it too. It's like you're creating these limitations, and some of them may be from experiences. You may have had a memory of something that you experienced. Maybe somebody didn't come through, or you fell short on a previous attempt, or maybe something else you were going for and you didn't reach the pinnacle. And you start time-lapsing into those kind of memories and those feelings and emotions, and then they start coming into your experience of the present. And you haven't even you haven't really fulfilled fully what this new thing is, but you're taking some of the baggage of old thoughts and old thinking and old ways and old mindsets and old beliefs and intertwining them into the new space that you're now cultivating to be the next thing that you're aiming to do. So when we can minimize so much of that garbage that is filtering into our minds, because our brain has a filtering system ability if we ignite it. And in order for us to filter out some of these things, your consciousness and your awareness has to be present that you're even doing it. A lot of times we'll try to blame it on things outside of ourselves, the environment, my car, my family, my dog, my kids, my spouse. I've caught myself roping my own words into foolery. Just not even giving myself the opportunity to be greater than what I'm saying or what I'm creating, the obstacles that I'm presenting in my quest to be. And it's just senseless at times, but until you're aware of it, you won't even know that you're doing it. And that becomes scary in itself, because you're not even conscious of how your own aspect and attitude toward things can make it harder for you. So guys, I'm not going to bear down too hard, but I do believe that we got to have these real honest conversations and understand that a lot of times we can pivot ourselves out of these spaces and places that are not the most comfortable. But we have to understand why they're not comfortable. We have to understand why we're experiencing, why we're feeling them, and why they're even present. And it's because we're creating them, right? So we can create that. How much better can we if we can create the difference, the other side of that equation? So, guys, let's just stop making excuses. Let's stop giving it life when it doesn't require it. And, let's put life into the other things that we're working towards versus the excuse making. I think that in itself sets us free. And I hope you've enjoyed these sounds that you may be hearing in the background of waves and water, and because that's pretty much what I'm here surrounded right now by. And I'm grateful that I do have the mobility of my studio ability to record and to bring this information to you. And without, this is another thing. I could have easily made an excuse and a reason as to why my content would have been done later in the day, versus knowing that I have my portable field mics and have my ability to work on this content and not waiting to perfect it. That's one of the things I must say, even for myself, that I found that has been a big thing for me that I've grown accustomed to doing, is working towards things until I felt that they had a level of perfection. And that in itself can create such an obstacle that is so profound. You'll be surprised how many people do not do things because they're waiting on it to be perfect, and they're waiting on it to make sense in all aspects of what their mindset is towards it. And I'm just telling you guys, because I know I've done it, and not going to even be, I'm not going to even lie and say that it's not been a present thought at times. It has. So even like today, I could have easily put this off for another 5-6 hours and just try to record this content later in the afternoon. But I honestly wanted to, measurably speak on the things that I already knew. I had my notes and everything already jotted here, and I knew that it was more important that the message itself was conveyed, and that it would give opportunity for all aspects of what I know it to be. That's so important in the conversation and the topic that this is for today. And it just goes to show you how easy you can back yourself into a corner or talk yourself out of doing something. In reality, we're making an excuse, and we don't even call it. We don't even call it that. We'll justify it as some other means, but most times it's excuses, guys. So, I think the bigger we can own up to that and recognize and call it what it is, that in itself is a game changer. That in itself is a supercharged mental shift that you got to give yourself credit for, and that is so worth recognizing that you were able to pinpoint that out and then adjust to make changes so that it doesn't deflect away from what it is that you need to do. So for me, I am at the point of conclusion on this topic, and I'm very grateful that we can have these conversations because it's needed. 2024 can be just as dynamic as we allow it to be. So the first thing we're doing is taking account and inventory and making sure we're doing what we need to do. So guys, I'm going to bid you farewell. I'm hoping that you're enjoying your Monday, and I'm already speaking a fantastic week into your existence. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Ciao.
Hi, this is Cindy Lemke from the Hemet San Jacinto Valley Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to invite you to learn more about the Chamber. We have networks ongoing, so you can join us at a breakfast at J&M Restaurant at 9 a.m. every Wednesday. Breakfast is on you, networking is on us. And then we have Women in Business, we have the Multicultural Network, and we have the Valley Nonprofit Network. And then we also have our monthly mixer. any one of those things, you can be my guest. Give me a call at the office for more information or to tell me you're coming. 951-658-3211, or you can check us out on the website, hsjvc.com. That's like HemmettSan I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day, and don't forget to join the chamber and help your business grow.
You're listening to the Loudmouth Radio Network.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woo-hooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.